Hello, Lakers Nation. My name is Trevor Lane, senior writer for LakersNation.com, and this is the Lakers Nation newsfeed where we break down all your latest Lakers news. And today, well, sorry to say, more Lakers drama. A recent piece by Baxter Holmes of ESPN detailed all the dysfunction going on in the world of the Los Angeles Lakers, and we're going to dive into all the ugliness in just a moment. But first, quick shout out to our sponsors, betonline.ag, your home for online gambling. All you have to do is go to clnsmedia.com/LeBron and then punch in the promo code CLNS50 to get a 50% bonus on your first deposit. Make sure you go check that out. And Uptime Energy Drinks, how energy should feel. You can find them at 7-Eleven, GNC, and Amazon.com. Uptime Energy Drinks, pretty much how I'm making it through the day at this point. How I'm keeping up with all of this Lakers drama is through Uptime Energy Drinks, so make sure you guys check them out. All right, so in Baxter's piece, and Baxter Holmes is a phenomenal reporter for ESPN, does a tremendous job, but Lakers fans are not going to be too thrilled with this piece that he wrote. Basically fires shots at everyone within the organization, including those who just departed, like Magic Johnson. So let's dive into it. So of Magic Johnson, he basically paints the picture, and I'm paraphrasing all of this here because it's way too long of a piece to recite the entire thing. If you guys want to, or at least you should read this anyway, go over to ESPN.com and make sure you go check it out. But he paints a picture of Magic as being this overbearing, angry executive. He's yelling at people. He is inciting fear to the point where staffers of the Lakers, even those who have left, have had to take anti-anxiety medication because of the environment that Magic Johnson has created. Said Magic is very much not the person that we see on TV, this smiling, magnetic personality, that there's another side to him. In fact, there was a comment in the article that staffers wondered when Magic did show up, which he said was usually only once a week, sometimes once every other week. So that lends credibility to the story that we've been hearing about Magic being something of an absentee executive while he was with the Lakers. But they were asking whether or not they would see Irvin or if they would see Magic. And with Magic being the person that you see on TV, that very generous, outgoing, caring personality that we've all come to know and love, or if they'd see Irvin, who is the guy who is this kind of overbearing, angry, yelling boss that nobody liked to be around. So that's a big shot at Magic Johnson right there. And of course, a little bit of a look inside to what he may have really been like as an executive. With Rob Pelinka, Baxter paints the picture of him, and this is all through anonymous sources, by the way, telling stories about what's happened, but they paint the picture of Rob Pelinka as being very, very controlling, being someone who was putting himself into all the kinds of meetings that a GM typically wouldn't, coaches meetings and things like that, where especially when players were involved, they felt uncomfortable because you had Rob Pelinka in there, and so you felt like you can't speak freely because Rob is that guy that's making those decisions on whether or not to trade you. He's negotiating with other teams and doing those sorts of things. So as much as Rob Pelinka presents himself as being somebody who is, using parables and telling all these stories and things like that, the sense was that within the Lakers organization, people see him as being somewhat dishonest, as being someone kind of conniving and a guy that sometimes doesn't tell the truth. The story was recounted about Kobe Bryant. Rob Pelinka, there was video of him when The Rock went and visited the Lakers, and Rob Pelinka told the story, and this is something that came out a while ago, told the story about how Kobe asked to visit with Heath Ledger after seeing The Dark Knight, and he wanted to find out how Heath locked into that role, just like Kobe Bryant wanted to use that to help him lock into games as a basketball player, which makes tons of sense and sounds like a very Kobe thing to do. Only problem is Heath Ledger was dead by the time the movie came out. He had passed away tragically. And so obviously it came across like Rob Pelinka was lying. Now look, this is nothing new. This story came out a while ago. We heard about this, and there was some reason why we may think that Kobe possibly saw an early version of the movie, or at least an early trailer, and that's what he saw, and that's what caused him to reach out to Heath Ledger. Now, whether or not that's true, we don't know. We'll have to hear from Kobe himself. But again, that part of it, it's used in Baxter's piece to make it sound like Rob Pelinka is this maniacal liar and that he's saying all these terrible things that just aren't true. And look, that may be somewhat true. Maybe Rob Pelinka isn't always telling the truth, but there's reason to believe that perhaps he didn't outright lie in this case about Kobe Bryant asking to meet with Heath Ledger. It is possible, even though Ledger had passed away by the time Bryant would have seen the entire movie, that Bryant could have seen an early version of it and then asked to speak with him. So it's possible that Pelinka was still telling the truth there, but again, we'll have to get more clarity on that. LeBron's agent, Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, essentially Baxter says, and through, again, his sources, that Rich Paul is known for trying to get everyone fired, trying to get the coach fired, being Luke Walton, and is trying to get everyone else traded, all the players traded, and that created disharmony in the locker room and chemistry issues. And certainly we saw some of those chemistry issues play out on the floor after the Lakers attempted and failed to trade for Anthony Davis. So that's something to consider. What was Rich Paul's role in all of that? They painted Rich Paul as a person who had way too much access to the organization, was given more access than a typical GM would, although Rich Paul did issue a statement saying no, that he has the typical access that any type of agent, I should say, not GM, any type of agent would have, and that there was nothing unusual going on there, that it wasn't the Lakers, bending to the will of Rich Paul or anything like that. But in any event, they painted Rich Paul as being this kind of mastermind that has been playing the Lakers and has been running around trying to make moves and creating disharmony as a result. Linda Rambis, the Rambi. We heard about Kurt Rambis sitting in coaches' meetings, and that Linda Rambis is essentially controlling Jeanie Buss. That she actually likes that she has the title around the league as the shadow owner of the Lakers, that it's something that she's proud of, and that Jeanie kind of does what Linda wants. Of course, Jeanie and Linda have been friends for a long, long time, but we know that's something the Lakers fans aren't super thrilled about, the idea that Linda Rambis, who is the wife of Kurt Rambis, has some sort of control within the organization, and it's unclear exactly what her role truly is. We know she's kind of Jeanie's right-hand man, but this is kind of a strange situation, obviously, and we're hearing more and more that she has more authority in the organization than I think a lot of fans would feel comfortable with. And Jeanie herself, I mean, it all rolls up under Jeanie Buss. Everything that's happening in the organization, she is the one ultimately responsible. And in Holmes's piece, she's basically presented as someone who is very aware of what's going on, because she's told of what's happening and told of the perception of the team around the league by her younger brothers, Joey and Jesse, who, from what I've heard, from what a lot of other people have heard, Joey and Jesse come across it in a very positive light. Again, in control of the South Bay Lakers, who have been run very, very well, and in control of the Lakers scouting department, which has also been one of their successes. So Joey and Jesse Buss are explaining to her, look, this is the perception around the league. This is how things look when we just go within the family tree. But that Jeanie isn't going to get away from that, because that's just kind of what she's used to. It's what she's stuck on. When things get tough, she turns to those in the inner circle of the Lakers dynasty, and they know, and she knows that they can trust them. So she's continuing to look for people within the Lakers family tree, and there are some rival executives that see that as a very negative thing. Jeanie, there's no denying this. She's been gone. She has not shown up since Magic left. We have not seen Jeanie publicly. She hasn't made any statements. Rob Pelinka made a statement when Luke Walton parted ways with the Lakers. Jeanie did not. When the Lakers hired Frank Vogel, when they introduced him as coach, Jeanie was nowhere to be found. So it's let a lot of other people write the narrative about what's going on with Jeanie Buss. This was her moment. And I've said this before on this show. This was her opportunity to step forth and say, look, I am in control. I'm running things. Everything is going to be okay, and really assert her authority. Instead, she has declined to do that. She has largely hid from the public eye and kind of stopped making any sort of public statements. Again, it was her opportunity to step forward and say something, and she has decided not to. And I think that's been a detriment to the team. But what I want to talk about here is the overall point of this. Okay, this article is extremely negative regarding the Lakers. And for Lakers fans, gosh, this has got to feel like a major roller coaster. So this season was plagued with injuries. You had LeBron James suffering the worst injury of his career. You had all these trade rumors, and nothing came to fruition. All the young players were rumored to be in a trade for Anthony Davis, so there was that kind of chaos. Then the team doesn't make the playoffs. You've got a major injury to Brandon Ingram, to Lonzo Ball. Kyle Kuzma had nagging injuries. Josh Hart had his season cut short. LeBron James, of course, suffers an injury. Rajon Rondo breaks his hand twice. It was just an absolutely plagued season. And then the Lakers don't make the playoffs. Right before the last game, you have Magic Johnson resigning out of the blue abruptly. Nobody saw it coming. So if we're looking at the roller coaster, that's down, 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 down for the Lakers. And things stayed there for a while. For weeks, even after the season ended, we just heard negativity about the Lakers, to the point where even though the Lakers have three big things going for them right now: cap space, LeBron James, and young players. They have those three things. Teams would kill to have those things. And they've got those three things heading into free agency, and yet they're still seen as not a major destination for free agents because of everything else going on around the team, because of all the drama. And that's why it was such a big deal that Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka didn't step forward and say anything. There were rumors that the Lakers would need to go outside, go hire someone like a David Griffin to replace Magic Johnson, to control the organization, to get things back on track, and they opted not to do that. Instead, Rob Pelinka steps up into some more power. They got rid of Magic's position. That's the way they went, but they didn't really say much about it, right? Nothing was said publicly until the hiring of Frank Vogel. But then, despite all the negativity, Magic quits, then Magic goes on First Take, says all these terrible things about the Lakers organization and how dysfunctional they are and how he wanted to fire Luke and didn't have the authority to. Guys, go back a couple of shows and you'll see my thoughts on all that. Then we get that nice little uptick. And what's that uptick? The draft. The draft lottery happens. So we're going down, then boom. Lakers fans are picked back up because they just jumped from the 11th pick in the draft to the 4th pick. Gotta love that. Right? That picks them up. Then, of course, the Magic First Take thing happens and Magic knocks everybody back down again a little bit, but it just started to feel like things were calming down. Like finally, we were going to just focus on the draft. We're going to focus on draft prospects. We've been talking all about Darius Garland and DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish and Jarrett Culver. We've been talking all about the options with trading the pick. The other day on the Lakers Nation podcast, Keith Smith and I broke down all the free agent options for the Lakers, what their salary cap looks like now that they've got the 4th pick. We were finally focusing on basketball again, and then the Holmes piece dropped. So it was down, up, back down again when Magic hits First Take. We started to climb back up, though. It felt like, hey, people were remembering. The Lakers have some positive things going, and then the Baxter Holmes piece knocks them way, way back down. And to make matters even more interesting, Magic Johnson is apparently going to be on ESPN tonight to help preview the NBA Finals. And after this Baxter Holmes piece came out, we can only imagine what he's going to say. So the ride's going to get even bumpier, guys, in just a few hours here. The ride's going to get even bumpier before it smooths out. Again, I keep going back to, look, the Lakers do have 3 things that are extremely enviable in young talent, LeBron James, and tons of cap space. Those things matter. Those things are important. All is not lost for your Los Angeles Lakers, but they don't look good. Okay. Nothing in the Holmes piece was really all that new. These are things that I've been hearing, that my colleagues have been hearing. We've all been hearing little rumblings of here and there of dysfunction within the organization, of how Magic actually acts, of the way Rob Pelinka conducts business and concerns about him and the way he can kind of scheme and things like that. These are all issues that we knew about. Jeannie and her proclivity for just going within the Lakers family tree. Okay, Rich Paul and him trying to manipulate things behind the scenes and all of that taking place. This is nothing new. But Holmes did a really nice job of packaging it and putting it all together. And then when you look at the quotes he's got, it's all anonymous sources. And that's not to say they're wrong. That's not to say that what is in here is not truthful, because it may 100% be fact. But I want everybody to keep in mind that there are always at least 2 sides to every story. There is a flip side to this. So everything that's in this article, there is another side to it. Okay, there is. And again, that's not to say this is untruthful, but sometimes we have different perspectives on things. Okay, if you asked a Lakers fan to describe when Rajon Rondo beat the Celtics at the buzzer this season, they're going to have a very different description of that moment than if you asked a Celtics fan, because we all have our own inherent biases, and that's the way it goes. I'm biased. Most of you are biased in some way. Everybody has some sort of bias. So motive is going to become a factor here. When you're reading these quotes and it says anonymous sources, one mentions it was an agent working within the Lakers, so an agent of another player on the Lakers that's speaking poorly of Rich Paul. Well, doesn't it make sense for a competing agent to speak poorly of Rich Paul? He doesn't want clients to go to Rich Paul, so he's going to do whatever he can to go ahead and say that Rich Paul is this terrible person and doing all of these awful things, and he's undermining the power of the Lakers because it paints him in a negative light. So of course you're going to do that. Okay. If you were part of, say, Luke Walton's coaching staff, and I don't know that any part of his coaching staff contributed to this article, but if you were spurned by the Lakers, if you were fired by the Lakers, the article mentions that a number of people were let go by the Lakers during Magic Johnson's tenure. If you were let go by the Lakers, aren't you going to have some sort of bias against the organization? You're going to have some ill will towards them. It would make a lot of sense for you to say negative things about them. Now, Baxter's article also included some people who currently work for the Lakers, which can't make Jeannie Buss too happy that you've got people speaking negatively about the organization. But still, I'm just saying that there is going to be some motive here for people to say negative things. I mean, look, if you are one of 29 other teams, if you're working in any capacity for 29 other teams, you're loving what is happening right now. You want this to continue. You want the negativity to continue going because you don't want the Lakers to get a major free agent. You don't want the Lakers to have a successful summer. So that's going to be something that is going to be important here moving forward, is understanding that there are other parties out there that want to see the Lakers fail, and they're going to do what they can to make sure that happens. Now, again, I am not saying that what Baxter wrote is untrue. I'm not saying that this is inaccurate, because it may be 100% accurate. And again, we have been hearing stories about this for a while. So I'd say there is a pretty decent amount of credibility here that a lot of this probably did happen. But I'm saying there's another side to it as well that we haven't heard yet. And part of that is because the Lakers haven't been getting out there and talking and explaining things very much. So maybe they will now. Maybe this will push them into the limelight, and then we'll hear the other side of it. We'll hear Rob Pelinka's side of it. Maybe we'll even hear Jeannie Buss's side of it. That would be great, because right now, all the negativity swirling is certainly not going to help the Lakers in their push to sign max free agents this summer. They really need to get ahead of this thing and figure out a way to spin the narrative back towards those positive things that they have. Remember the big three things: LeBron James, cap space, and young talent. That's really, really important that they spin this thing. So far, they haven't done a great job of doing that. But again, free agency starting up June 30th. It's going to start up a little bit early this year. They've got their work cut out for them if they're going to turn this thing around as quickly as they need to. All right, guys, if you haven't checked out the article, make sure you go give it a read, because obviously tons in there, tons to talk about, and tons to really dig into. It's not pleasant. Most of it is very, very not positive about your Los Angeles Lakers, but fight through it. It's worth it to at least give it a read. Don't give up all hope in the Lakers, though. Like I said, two sides at least to every story. A lot going on here, a lot of different things at play. But again, can't say that all this stuff is untrue, because these are things that we've been hearing for quite a while, and Baxter just did a real nice job of compiling it and putting it all together. Okay, guys, for everything else going on in the world of the Los Angeles Lakers, make sure you head over to LakersNation.com, your home for everything Lakers. And don't forget, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Get notified every time that we put out a new video. Tons of new content coming all summer long. This is going to be a big, big summer for the Lakers. And obviously, there's going to be probably a billion things to talk about as the Lakers offseason continues to chug along and we get closer and closer to the NBA draft. So make sure you hit subscribe and throw me some comments. Let me know, what do you think about this? Who's the problem here? Is everything the problem? What do the Lakers need to do in order to get back on track? Till next time, guys, my name's Trevor Lane. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. See ya.